All right, I'm going to kick it off and tell everyone good morning on behalf of the NBA and welcome to what is the Silver Chalice webinar. My name is Alec Bateman. I am guessing I am a new face to pretty much everybody here. So I wanted to introduce myself. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the new marketing director over at NBA working alongside Britt and April. Super excited for this to be my first webinar that I'm participating in and to be hosting on behalf of the National Benevolent Association. The NBA is the Health and Social Service Minister Partner of the Christian Church, the Disciples of Christ, and we collaborate with leaders and with health and social service organizations to strengthen and transform communities through compassion, healing, and justice. I did have a couple of notes, housekeeping that I wanted to pass along before we got started. First, I wanted to inform everyone the webinar is being recorded. You can turn off your camera if you like, or you can leave it on, but please make sure to leave your microphone on mute. Also, in addition to today's webinar, we'll be sharing a couple resources in the chat supporting this information. And I encourage everyone to visit our Older Adult Ministries resource page at nbacares.com. We have a beautiful new updated website and it's under our resources section. With that, I will stop talking and pass this over to Jan Eddy to get us started today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jan Eddy. I am so excited to see you all and very happy that you're here. I am the coordinator of our Older Adult Ministries with the Disciples of Christ, NBA. And one of our very exciting things that's happening is this webinar because we are going to talk about the movement that our denomination has become a part of in older adult ministries that's bringing us to the point today of talking about a Silver Chalice Resolution that's going to General Assembly. We anticipate that we're going to be able to share with you today some new insights, some new information maybe, because we are looking ahead and expecting that in the next months, with the possibility that our denomination will have a significant increase in the movement's interest in older adult ministries. So you're with us at the start of this process. Well, why is there a Silver Chalice Resolution being presented? We're going to share about that with you today. I can tell you one reason, and there'll be many more. The first reason to tell you about is that statistically we know that Disciples of Christ membership is represented by half of total membership over the age of 65. Imagine that. Half of our total membership in the denomination is over the age of 65. And that spans a number of years, several decades of ages in that span, according to our statistics. We can also say that this sits alongside of the demographic trend that's happening in every mainline denomination of dropping membership, losing membership, along with older adults becoming greater in numbers. And so the challenge that we all face and the interest of Silver Chalice Ministries is that by focusing on the present attendees and members in our congregations and doing a very good job of servicing those needs of older adults within our congregations, we become exemplary to communities, to other congregations, who then want to follow suit or join in the process. So it's an inspiring time, and it's a challenging time. And we're here to tell you a little bit more about the details of that. We have 3 co-leaders today. One of those had been expected to be Sandy Messick of the Florida region, who at the last minute is not able to be with us. But we have 2 other co-leaders to join Paul Koch, who are very, very well versed on this topic. So among the 3 of them, they are going to take you through this hour. And near the end of our time, there will be a Q&A time for you to ask us questions or to post something in the chat that we can address during that time. So I'd like to invite Kimberly Weir to speak with you next.
Well, hi everyone. It is great to see you. I am Kimberly. I am a chaplain and executive director of a ministry in Jacksonville, Florida to low-income senior adults. And it's a pleasure to be with you today. Um, in August of 2022, almost exactly 3 years ago, the NBA formed an innovative conversation group around the topic of older adults. Jan Airy, who just introduced us, has led this group since then. About 8 of us started gathering by Zoom once a month to talk about older adults and how we could help congregations and the general church in their ministries to them. To help us form goals and objectives, we compiled a survey that was distributed by email and also at the last General Assembly to help us learn what churches and pastors believed older adults were looking for and what they needed. The results of that survey shaped where we put our attention after that. So we learned that the pandemic taught us how to connect over Zoom, and that due to mobility and transportation issues, many of those surveyed expressed wanting more spiritual opportunities online and over platforms like Zoom. Another need that came from that survey was for support groups for grief and for caregivers, especially caregivers who were supporting loved ones with dementia. So our group started pulling together resources and creating resources. This included webinars on various topics, such as how to start a support group in your church. And our goal that we ended up stating for ourselves, the goal of our group was to offer awareness and resources to congregations and communities regarding the concerns of older adults related to loneliness, meaning making, and sense of purpose. So over these 3 years, the NBA has housed an older adult section on its webpage to hold the resources that we were collecting and creating. Hopefully you have seen some of those. This page pulls together existing and newly developed resources for organizations, churches, and congregations to use in their ministry to older adults. So during one of our monthly meetings, while working on our objectives, we were trying to think of a way to keep churches encouraged about what they're currently doing with and for older adults, and to offer ideas as to what other areas of resource and services they might want to offer. So we began to think about the Green Chalice effort in the denomination and its success in bringing awareness and encouraging focused efforts to help churches live into a climate and ecologically friendly status. Are all of you familiar with Green Chalice? Yes, wonderful. So just as Green Chalice has a list of accomplishments that a church can make to achieve a designation as a Green Chalice church, we wondered if that same concept would encourage churches to celebrate, recognize, and focus attention on the gifts and graces of older adults. So there you have it. That is where Silver Chalice was born. The Silver Chalice program seeks congregations and organizations within the church to commit to offer and enhance support to and for our aging members. Achieving a Silver Chalice designation means the congregation has reached certain goals regarding programming and services that focus on adding meaning and value to the life of the older adult, as well as the life of the larger church. Silver Chalice is one way we live out our Christian faith. And here is how it works. And hopefully it'll work when I try to screen share. Say a prayer for me. Did it work? Yes. Okay, thanks. All right. So there are 2 designations in becoming a Silver Chalice ministry. Level 1, actually in both levels, the step 1 is to form a Silver Chalice team. So this can be, of course, members from your congregation. You can invite a member from the community. You'll want at least one person or 2 to lead the effort. But step 1 is to form a team. Step 2 is to sign and submit the Silver Chalice Covenant. And that is part of the documentation that we provide for those who are inquiring about becoming a Silver Chalice ministry. Step 3 is to consider and document what you currently do to support and celebrate older adults, and then commit to make at least 3 changes or enhancements in how you care for older adults. Step 4 is to initiate 1 new program either internally or in the community. And step 5 would be to document and communicate your success to your congregation, organization, and your Silver Chalice Guide. You will learn more about the Silver Chalice Guide in just a second. And then after that, congratulations, you are a Silver Chalice ministry. Now, you can take this a step further and become a certified Silver Chalice ministry, which means that you notify your Silver Chalice Guide that this is what you want to do, and then you initiate 3 to 5 new programs to your existing ministry, and one of those 3 would go beyond the walls of the church into the community. And then just ask that you renew your commitment annually, and that is it. All right, so that's the history, and those are the levels. And now I'm going to kick this to Lina Eddy, who is the Silver Chalice Guide for our Silver Chalice Ministry program.
Good morning. I'm Lina Eddy, and I live in Missouri, and I am a transitional interim pastor. I've been doing that for a few years, and I've been involved with older adult ministries for the past 3 years. I've gotten involved with Silver Chalice since its inception with Kimberly and Paul and Jan. And what I've been doing is I've been working as the Silver Chalice Guide. And part of that is I've been working with these congregations. Currently, we have 11 designated Silver Chalice congregations. And of those, there are, we're going to put a list up there. There are 11 churches that have made it through the first year. And they come from Missouri, Kansas, Oregon, and Florida. There are 9 churches that are still working towards their designation. And as you can see, they're from further states: Indiana, Texas, Kansas, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Florida. The process of support that we give them is pretty awesome. Support is available through phone calls, through text messages, through emails, and we're slowly but surely starting to do some Zoom calls. We meet up with these churches at least quarterly to twice a year to see how they're doing through the process, through the steps that they go through. And that's to make sure that they're doing okay, to make sure there's that we are supporting them in their process, and to make sure that we are providing them whatever resources they need, and make sure that we can get them through the process and get them to the resources that are necessary. And at the end of their process, we do a celebration. This past year, we celebrated these 11 churches that have made it through the first year. And it was an awesome time. We came together on Zoom. They got to celebrate their time together. And there's some interesting stories and amazing stories of what they did as they learned and provided experiences of doing external programs, new programs for older adult ministries. Out of that came a number of these newer churches from different states, which is pretty awesome. What is happening now is that the more and longer we're in existence, the more we're seeing other folks come to us, which is really cool. We are seeing that folks are interested in not only getting information from us, but coming and being a part of who we are. We see that folks are coming to be a part of this, because this designation is not just a certificate on the wall, but it's an important part of who we are as a church. If we don't take care of our older adults, if we don't embrace our older adults, we're missing a big part of ministry in our churches. The things that Kimberly talked about was doing more Zoom calls. When we did the surveys that Kimberly talked about, it was amazing with the statistics, because it was amazing to see that a lot of our 95 and older folks wanted more Zoom Bible studies, and they wanted them because they had learned how to use technology. I'm not 95, and I barely knew how to use a Zoom call, and yet they wanted they learned the technology to do studies like this. What we're learning is that there are tools and there are resources available for our older adults that are just amazing. That's what came out of this. And that's what Silver Chalice is all about. The churches that have embraced this are amazing churches. They have done amazing things within their congregations. And the more they meet up with each other, the more they're able to talk to one another, the more they share with one another, the more networking that happens. It's really awesome to see what happens. One last story. I was an interim in a small rural church, and one of the most amazing things that happened was the church that I was doing an interim at. I was the youngest person there, and one day, a young family with 3 kids showed up, and all of a sudden, they decided to come to church, and they sat in the front pew. And after church, I had seen the most amazing thing that could happen. The whole congregation came over. They came over to this family. The men in the congregation took this infant boy and just whisked him away in their arms and loved on this baby boy. And the women in this church took these other kids and just took them in their arms and loved on them. What amazing ministry that is. Ministry is not just one-sided. Ministry is all around us, whether we ask, whether we do ministry to and with older adults, or whether older adults come and comes through our older adults. So older adults come through, ministry comes through all different ways, shapes, and forms. So with that, and with understanding that older adult ministry comes in many different forms, I want to pass this off to Paul, who did an amazing job of writing the resolution that's coming before GA.
Well, thank you, Lina. And a lot of it was cut and paste from the contributions from many collaborators. So I'm good at cut and paste, but it was a joy to articulate on paper something to present to the wider church. And before I get going, I just wanted to do a shout out. I see some Mid-America pastors here. So thank you for being here, along with one of my former regional pastors, Danny Loving Cartwright. So good to see you. I was anticipating we'll catch up at General Assembly. And one thing that we realized as we were going through in our work together, beginning with the innovative conversations, is that all this effort doesn't rest on the passage of a resolution at General Assembly. This is a way of communication and promotion and really celebration, as there is so much to celebrate as stories are being told for there. But we will always press forward, and certainly will hope for a positive assembly for the resolution. And but the work really just begins there. We're hoping that many more congregations will be aware and hop on for that. And through the work that we've done with our pilot congregations, we hear stories of the intentional efforts of pastors and lay people saying, for once we've reclaimed our purpose. We know who we are as a congregation, and we know that God is not finished with us yet. And all the fear of dying or becoming irrelevant just goes right out the window, because they're finding new ways of outreach on times apart from Sunday mornings and all throughout the life in their community. So we do celebrate that. And our resolution was presented at General Board, and I can say it was passed unanimously at General Board, and the working group that edited it for us and made a few take a closer look, just made minor adjustments. So I'm thankful for all the work that made what I think is a very good document. And for those who will be at General Assembly, just a reminder that the vote on this resolution will be on Saturday morning. So right after the opening, there'll be some other resolutions, and it may carry on after lunchtime, but the schedule is early Saturday morning. And of course, the schedule will be voted on and could change, but that's when we're anticipating. And also on Saturday morning or early afternoon is another resolution that I'm proud came from Mid-America as well, and that's on all abilities access in church buildings and in worship. And so look forward to that. Perhaps some of you will have interest in that as well and can be present to support that too. But I will go ahead and screen share the resolution just so we can walk through it and you can see what it is that we are talking about precisely. So perhaps you're familiar, there you go. Perhaps you're familiar with General Assembly resolutions. There's a lot of whereases and therefores that make the case. And certainly we believe that our older adults ministries fit within the broad mission of our Christian church, Disciples of Christ, from our doorsteps to the end of the world, to create a community for wholeness in a fragmented world. And you can see that, older adults, as remarkable as sometimes the stories are overlooked, certainly has plenty of examples of older adults who made significant impact in the legacy of our faith. So we're celebrating, as Jan introduced, kind of the anchors in our congregations. And when I help churches in search and call, a lot of them, will say, we're bringing in a minister and we need to revitalize our youth ministry. And that's usually one of the goals. And then I look around and see that they don't have that many youth who attend their church. Certainly a goal to grow that ministry. But I always ask them, how are you taking care of each other? What vitality do you see in your work with each other? And as I heard Jan exclaim many times, that the greatest mission field, if you will, or the greatest evangelism opportunities are with older adults in your communities. A significant number of older adults are not churched and have no home. So that's a place to begin. We are so grateful of our increased partnership with NBA, excuse me, and they've helped us even move in new directions that we did not anticipate. And one of those is through justice ministries. We realize that justice issues, as they are among all of us, are very particularly important for vulnerable populations of older adults. And right now, the potential loss of Medicaid funding could decimate care centers and hospitals and healthcare in our communities where we have disciples churches. So we'll be honing in that advocacy work more and more as we gather. And as I go through this, please know we'll have a queue in our time. So if you have any specific questions, we'll be happy to entertain those. But, the designation, as Lina said, it's not a badge, to flaunt, but just a reminder says, we will continue to have work to do in our congregations. And we are grateful for all of your efforts already. And the beauty of this is that we know that Silver Chalice is not going to create all these new wonderful things in your congregation, because they are already happening. We are here to celebrate all the work that you are already doing and to help you name and claim, your vital ministries that sometimes are overlooked in your board reports and other places. So then we get to the therefore section and the be it resolves. section is that we will continue to discover new ways, and this will not be a static document, that we will offer ourselves in any ways as the needs will change throughout the years, and the church's response will change. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton right here now back to Kimberly. And then, as I said, we'll get back if there are any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Well, thanks to Paul and the proposed resolution. That resolution did go before the Regional Board of Mid-America. They approved the resolution, and then the entire body, their regional assembly, voted and approved it. From start to finish, that process took about 3 months, if I remember right. Paul, does that sound about right? So I then did my best to follow suit for the state of Florida, since I'm in Florida. I started out with an email to our regional minister, who then added our regional leadership council moderator to the emails. And then I was able to be on the agenda for the next leadership council meeting. So I then presented the concept of Silver Chalice that you are hearing about today. I shared the purpose, which is to encourage, support, and celebrate congregations, DOC offices, assemblies, and organizations who have a strong desire to live out their Christian faith by caring for, assisting, and utilizing the gifts and wisdom of older adults. I then shared the level 1 and level 2 designations a church could achieve that I just showed you all, and how churches are already engaged in important ministry to, for, and with older adults, and then to motivate them to do more. The comments that came up during the discussion were about how some churches are already doing things, just like Paul said, already doing things to support seniors. And I just reiterated that part of Silver Chalice is to celebrate what we already do. I also shared to the Leadership Council that there's a justice component to this effort. Paul was talking about that as part of the resolution. Ageism is real, and there are ways that churches can help older adults feel more welcome and included. One obvious question that someone on the leadership asked me was, what does it mean to be a Silver Chalice region? Well, it means that we do not minimize the spiritual needs of our elders. It means we are intentional about the value we place on who they are, the time of life they are in, and the gifts they bring. Silver Chalice is about being intentional. Our program and the justice work that goes with it takes all of us. A Silver Chalice region not only supports, but advocates for the older adults in our midst. Older adults that we hope to become or already are. I was pleased that our Leadership Council in Florida voted to support Silver Chalice as a region. And then at the next meeting, I was back on the agenda with the draft General Assembly resolution that Paul just shared with you. And as the state that boasts that it's the place for people to retire, I thought the Silver Chalice effort would not be too hard to sell, and it was not. The Leadership Council unanimously passed the motion to be added to the resolution coming before the General Assembly. So that is how we became a Silver Chalice region. So Paul, back to you to talk about our future.
Thank you. One of the areas where we see the importance of a regional Silver Chalice effort is in the field of justice. That, there are many mountains to climb, and congregations and leaders coming together is really the best way, maybe the only way to accomplish that. And so we'll be working with regions to help them address issues that Kimberly has addressed already. Within their region, there's, of course, national legislation, but there's also state issues of ageism. And then there's the topic of elder abuse, which we need to teach each other, help each other equip to understand if an older adult within the congregation is left alone for long periods of time, or sadly facing physical abuse or neglect. And so just to help us be aware, and the cooperative efforts, that'll be great to accomplish on a regional level. But I'm here to talk about kind of what's next after the resolution, or ways that we will continue to move forward. And that is that we are blessed with so much collaboration. We are working with Disciples Home Missions as they have taken under their umbrella um, uh, opportunities for intergenerational ministry. And certainly, we can fill one of the generational gaps by partnering. And DHM we know that younger people, children, benefit so much, from mentoring by grandparent figures, or for others, within their midst. So we're just developing resources and how to work together and to lift that up. And also, we will be present, whenever a congregation has a need or particular idea that they want to spring on us. And when we get to the question and answer period for us, we'll invite you to voice your question if you wish to speak it, or to ask it, or if you want to just type it into the chat, we will get back with you personally. Perhaps if it's something that you would rather be dealt with personally, we'll have a record of the chat, and we'll be reaching out to you there. But we see many intersections taking place, and yet we have no idea how we will continue to move forward. And so if you have questions or ideas on moving forward, or the resolution, or more about our origin, or perhaps how to present this to your leadership in your congregation or to the region, we'll allow more time for that right now. So feel free to raise your hand, or it's okay to do popcorn style if you don't go at once. Do you have any questions? Yes, David Hargrave, I see.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Great.
I'm curious about the intergenerational aspect, and I'm glad you mentioned it with DHM. That's something here at Juliet Fowler that we work on a great deal, is being intergenerational. And I would be curious with more information about how the intergenerational aspects can work into the Silver Chalice program.
Right. Yeah, there's so much innovations that come. So we just want to name and to celebrate and offer these as ideas. If someone says, well, duh, I didn't think of that. But I was at one congregation, it was the youth lock-in over Martin Luther King weekend a couple years ago. And the congregation made the not confirmation, not conversation, the congregation made an effort to make sure there were plenty of older adults to help the youth in their bingo game. It was one of fill in the blanks bingos of getting to know people. And they were right there at the table having fun with them and rewarding each other with candies or whatever it did. So that was one activity, so that you don't have to think of youth group activities or older adult activities, but come together. And another idea that came is that church that I was a member of back when I was mid-20s, they always had the older adult bus trip. They would go to Colonial Williamsburg or to Lancaster for the Sight and Sound Theater, those types of things. And they made sure that all ages were involved. So my wife and I, we were newlyweds, were adopted by the older adults to come join them. And boy, they were wild, and they were lots of fun. Why don't sometimes I wondered, I don't always see that on Sunday morning, but it was a blast. So it's just making connections, realizing no ministry can exist into a vacuum, that there's always ways of intersection. And you hear about how close children are with their grandparents, adopt a grandparent or adopt a grandchild program. Just someone there on Sunday say, hey, you come sit with me and worship because I want to spend more time with you, is just speaks volumes on the love of the church. So thank you. Yeah,
Paul, can I
Kimberly?
just chime in? We do have, as part of the materials for Silver Chalice for congregations, we have a list of suggestions or ideas. These intergenerational ministries, and then other ways to do ministries, we have a list that we've started that we know can be expanded. so that when someone says, yeah, I'd like to be a Silver Chalice church, what are some of the things we can do? We have like just an initial list of suggestions. So those things that Paul just mentioned could all be part of that list, and you all and others can help us expand that list.
Eric, thank you.
Yeah, so my question is this: for congregations they're a little bit hesitant to join any certain group. Do you have like a and maybe you've already said this, do you have like a bullet point sheet of how a Silver Chalice could benefit older congregations? And if so, will you share it?
Yes, we do. We know where you are, Eric, but it's part of our general resources. And I would say the template that Lina shared on how to become a Silver Chalice congregation is probably the best thing. But we have other resources, and we'll make sure we'll find the right thing for you. And had a thought, it just escaped my head. It'll come to me again here soon.
Thank you.
Thankfully, we have more people than can fit on my screen, so I may not be seeing you if you're raising your hand. So feel free to voice your question. Oh, I see. Yeah, in the chat. Yeah, it's brand new. I was told, keep it keep it a secret as long as possible. But I'm glad DHM finally released the great news of Disciples Mission Hub, which is just blew my mind when I saw that presentation from Chris Dorsey the other day. That it's a huge catalog, a way of connecting for mission opportunities when and where. So every region can post when something is going to be happening, and then there's ways of inviting participation to take place there. And you can look at particular areas of service and mission. There's ways to discern that, and also, all the ideas that you might have regarding senior or intergenerational ministries can go there too. So did I capture that right, Danny? Anything more you'd like to add?
Paul,
I
if I
wasn't
can
planning. Oh, sorry.
go. No, Danny, go.
I wasn't planning on talking, but we're just so excited at NBA to see this just come through its whole process and the birth, and to be able to celebrate the resolution at General Assembly. I just think that marks a particularly important place in the church for older adults. So thank you all for your work, and we are excited to be a part of it.
Thanks, Danny.
Well, thank you so much.
I think I was supposed to mention just going forward after Paul talked about some of the future stuff, that for those who become Silver Chalice, we are going to meet every other month. All the participating churches who have given us an email address, and regional ministers as well, will receive a newsletter dedicated to Silver Chalice. There will also be quarterly Zoom calls that will be somewhat of a check-in while offering support and information and a place for sharing of ideas. We recommend establishing a Silver Chalice point person, perhaps not just for your church, but maybe also for your region, because we believe that this resolution is going to pass with flying colors, and that there will be so many churches that would like to join in this effort that perhaps having someone designated in a particular district or region. I'm the point person for Silver Chalice in the North Florida district, so there might want to be others like that. Let's see. Yes, and since Lina is just one person, and we expect so many more churches to be taking up this call, I know she's going to need other people along the way to help her communicate with districts and regions. So we are in this for the long haul and really looking forward to where it goes and how it grows.
Thank you, Kimberly. And if you're not aware, there will be a workshop at General Assembly on Silver Chalice. And Jan, if you can remind me when it is.
So the workshop will be on Tuesday morning, beginning at 8:45. And while I have the microphone on, let me add that we would love to see you in the display hall at any time, exhibit hall during General Assembly. But if you can make it Sunday around noontime, I don't have a specific time, I think noon or shortly after, we are making a presentation in the exhibit area about our relationship with NBA and the work that we're looking ahead to doing.
Thank you. Any more questions that some might have? Going to my other screen here.
Or even just comments and thoughts.
Yes, thank you. Eric had mentioned, I believe it was Eric, about resistance in the congregation, trying to how to sell it. I heard one thoughtful pastor say that there was some hesitancy when he introduced it to his congregation, as the church's mission had been to kind of decentralize power in the congregation and was uplifting younger people, younger generations of leaders within the church, and he saw perhaps recognizing older adults as contrary to the mission of passing the torch, if you will. And so we had a very healthy discussion about that, and can assure you the Silver Chalice is not about helping older adults preserve any power base that they might have. As you know, leaders emerge and then they love it, and that's their personal mission, and they continue to work with it. And some younger people may sometimes have difficulty finding their way into the committee structures or other opportunities, and we're not about that. We're helping us, claim, without what we do, but who we are as older adults.
So Paul, I have a question.
Sure.
And I should know the answer to this, and maybe I already do, but for those of us that can't make the General Assembly, are some of these workshops available online?
Yes, we're being recorded. Not every workshop is given the privilege of being recorded, but the assembly planners said that we will be recorded. So check the General Assembly website, and we'll certainly pass the word to how that recording will be accessible.
Thank you.
Maudine, thank you. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you did. Thank you. I'm from Light of the World Christian Church in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it's so interesting when I saw this, it caught me because for years we didn't call it the older adults. We called it the Sages Ministry.
Love it.
And the Sages Ministry did a multiplicity of things. And back in that day, I was over the Sages Ministry. I also am the Minister of Bereavement in Light of the World. I've been that for the last 37 years. But always working with the, as you would say, the older adults. And was always great. And we still have but we call it the Sages Ministry. And they do a lot of things. They take trips and have various activities. And once a year, always in December, we have celebrate all the birthdays. So every month of the year has a birthday table. And it is interesting to just see the seniors come, the sages, and they're at those tables, and oh my, what a time they have. And we just have it's a great fellowship. But it does allow other seniors to know whose birth is in their month. And so it's been a great ministry in Light of the World for years under Bishop T. Garrett Benjamin Jr. And now we have a female pastor that is beyond measure, the Reverend Arjane Pitts Murdoch. And so many things are continuing to go on, and even more beside. And so when I saw this online, I said, oh, I need to know about the Silver Challenge and making the resolution to General Assembly. I do plan to be in General Assembly. In fact, I'm doing a bereavement workshop at the same time on Sunday. No,
Okay.
mine is on Tuesday. So therefore, maybe I can get in there on Sunday.
Oh, well, thank you. And I always hear wonderful things about Light of the World, so just keeps glowing and glowing more. And you I love the word sages. How wonderful. And that brings to a point, in our church, elders is a position. Sometimes people are voted on, by a regional board to be elder of the church and nominated. And you know how that goes. They have specific function at the communion table and other places, but we are reclaiming the spiritual eldership. It doesn't matter if they hold the office of elder in your church. You know who the wise ones are that you will go to with a problem or
Right.
need advice. And so we're lifting up that, and sage is a perfect name for those people too. So we were bantering around the name of what to call, Silver Chalice, and honestly, we said, yeah, I think it'll work because they're silver sneakers. Perhaps if you have your YMCA or recreation facility, there's senior sneakers programs that adults participate in for free. And but yeah, we had some resistance of silver. It says, who's the older adult? That's certainly not me. Only my hairdresser knows really, what my true hair color is. But silver is precious metal to me, so it has nothing to do with ages, and many references in scripture of burning out the impurities and seeing, our pure, beautiful self. So,
I think chalice is just great because I was born, reared, and all in the Baptist church, coming to the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. The chalice is so major in our denomination, and it represents so much. And I think any of the older adults, as you would call them, sages, the older folk. We just buried last Thursday the oldest member of our church. She was 103 years old, but had been a member for 78 years. And what a funeral service it was. And great, great woman in the church. And so it's amazing. And our church has many folk in that 90-year age group. We have a lot of folk.
see,
So
thank you. Ethan, can I call upon you to share your story about the octogenarian through your Silver Chalice ministry? Not octogenarian, what do you, centenarian? Your wonderful story of what your Silver Chalice ministry at First Christian in Frankfort in Missouri enabled.
Sure. So we are one of the pilot congregations, and one of the things that we looked at was, as one of the new things that we could do, was to go to visit nursing homes and to have a nursing home ministry, more than just taking communion, to actually have a full worship service with the folks there. So we went to a nursing home in a neighboring community and had a service there, and we're taking communion through the hallways to those that were interested. And a woman by the name of Elizabeth, who is 99 years old, practically leapt out of her chair when we said communion. She had not received communion in over 4 years due to the pandemic, and she has no living family. Her church family, she was not a member of a Disciples of Christ church. She was a member of another denomination, had just seemingly forgotten about her. And so it meant the world to her that we brought communion to her. And as we were, of course, talking with Elizabeth and hearing her story, she just said, I'd like to move my membership to your church. And she made her profession of faith. And so we go, and so she is for a while, she was our newest member at 99 years old. She is also our oldest member. But we celebrate Elizabeth, and we're so excited to have her be a part of our church family. And it was a reminder to us that to not take things for granted. And our children's ministry, they have made gifts and door decorations to take to Elizabeth, and she just relishes that because we are her family.
Yeah. And we just love First Christian in Frankfort in our region because they called their lead pastor, who was age 85, now is 88, and still has more energy than me and a couple other people put together. So there's no aging out in the gifts of God that we can share. So. All right, David, yes.
Yeah. Wondering what has been talked about in the past as we've developed this program about memory, dealing with memory care as well. Here at Juliet Fowler, as I'm sure any chaplains are quite aware of, we deal with that a great deal. And we have a dementia-friendly program here through Dallas and the National Dementia Friendly. And we're educating congregations on being a dementia-friendly congregation. So I'm just wondering what's been talked about in the past in that area.
Right. One of the first things we did, it seems like ancient history now, because so much has happened, is that we produced a book to help people in their contemplation spiritual practices. It's called Looking Over God's Shoulder, and you can download a copy on the NBA website there. But the contemplation exercises are multi-sensory, and we know that that's an important part for dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's people, is to, just don't rely on conversation and cognitive memory, but elements such as water, photographs, tastes, smells, and all that. So there's opportunity to participate in there. But we also have a task group working, dealing specifically with Alzheimer's and memory care that I think, Jan, if you could tell us more about that, and I think it's time for you to offer parting words too, to honor our hour as well.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Yes, if you all will look at our website, which is offered in the chat, but we'll also be sure that you receive this in an email tomorrow. You will see that there are resources there, and as David is requesting, there are some relating to memory care, dementia-friendly congregations. We created an entire handbook about dementia. One of our teams several years ago created this handbook, and it is available. All of these materials are free on the website, but we are also emphasizing and hoping that congregations will take on the challenge of different dementia-friendly congregations, much as they look at Silver Chalice congregation, and that might be the next level of what they try to attempt to do or would like to work with us on. So we're always looking for good examples. We have 2 exemplary congregations within our denomination that you may not know of, but that are based in memory care or care facilities. Their congregation is a part of that facility, and they do practice worship practices that are addressing particularly those with memory challenges. So many of our materials, listings of resources include some of the things that they would also offer or suggest to us. And one last comment about the question regarding intergenerational ministries. Look for that as well. Our resources have been created as a handbook as well on bringing generations together. It is based on the webinar more recently presented on worship and wonder style of Bible teaching, Bible story teaching. And so that is also available there for you to look at. But as we begin to look ahead from this moment forward, we just want to remind you to look for us at General Assembly. We will be looking for you and would love to connect there. But also, if you are not at General Assembly, we most importantly want to hear from you about your questions, your ideas, any progress you've made, things that you would like to have us know about. We do have the newsletter that Kimberly mentioned that we will be inviting people to share stories with us. We want to be able to have a significant collection of stories for that. So there is so much that we can all be excited about. But one of the most wonderful things is to see a group like this with us, and that we have the opportunity to interact with you and to speak together, but to hear your voice as well in all of this. So one closing reminder, I'd just like to make the statement for you to ponder, and that is that older adults do not live in isolation, nor should they live in isolation. They are part of your community and mine. They are part of the school there. They are part of the stores. They are part of the library. They are part of the physical recreational activities that happen. Older adults are a part of our communities, and in that sense are a part of every age and of every possibility of bringing all of us together within a worshiping congregation. So I do truly believe, as Paul said, that older adults are one of our best evangelism opportunities. So I want to extend to you blessings today. Watch for an email from us tomorrow with the links and with the information and contacts that you might be seeking. And if you have further questions, you will have the email address there in order to ask us those questions. So thank you again and have a blessed rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.